Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallim ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin with my reflection for today, I'd like to share to you some of the verses from the Quran and also from the Hadith Sharif, from the collection of the sayings of the prophets. First, I'd like to recall the verse coming from the Surah Ar-Rum, verse 41. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. And the second one, I'd like to mention a hadith that is taken from Musnad Ahmad. And here goes, an Abi Dharra Zadai عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من زحزح عن الطريق المسلمين شيئا يذيهم كتب الله له به حسنة ومن كتب له عنده حسنة أدخله الله بها جنة. Musnad Ahmad bin Hanbal. So from these two reference taken out from Holy Quran and also from Hadith Sharif, I'd like to deliver a small reflection, but it's timely for all of us, that is about eco-theology in the era of anthropocentrism. We need to realize that our world is currently facing an immediate danger that we can see now in the effect of climate change. During this era, we are mostly doing a lot of consumption and also using all of the plastic ware to wrap up our food, to even to contain water. Not only that, we are going to different places using vehicles which are obviously producing a lot of carbon emission. We prefer to use private cars and private motors here in Indonesia, even to walk a very short distance that is only around less than 1 kilometer, even for just a simple daily shop or just to do little things. For example, even for going to mosque for prayer, even if the distance is only like 500 to 750 meters, we love to take motorcycle. But we need to realize that our overconsumption of carbon-based fuels and also overusage of plastic materials has resulted in inevitable era of Anthropocene. Anthropocene, scientifically speaking, is a conception that was proposed by scientists in around the late 20th century to describe a world that is currently on the verge of crisis, or even in the middle of the crisis itself. Because of what? Because of the role of human in allowing the destruction to happen, also in allowing the destruction and annihilation of the life of another species and creatures living in this biosphere to be threatened significantly by human action. If I have spoken to you about the micro example, the daily example coming from everyday life, about us often using the plastic materials and also going to everywhere using motorcycles and cars, let us look also into the macro perspective, that is about how humans are also trapped in this capitalistic society. So when Quran explained about the destruction of this earth caused by human hands, it's not only about individual action. For example, we might forget not to bring our tumbler to carry our water, and also we might be forgetting to throw the garbage into the recycle bin, or doing the 3R, the reduce, recycle, and reuse. The destruction of Earth is not only caused by individual actions. It's also caused by what we term it in social sciences as systematic issues. That is stemming out exactly from capitalistic economic mode of production. It is emphasizing on production, on efficiency, on effectiveness. Meanwhile, it's risking a lot in environmental aspects. We see that all of the corporations have been doing a lot of this environmental degradation and destruction worldwide. And the most obvious cases we've been looking is in Indonesia, where nickel smelters in Morowali has caused intoxication of water in the area surrounding Morowali, and it's already caused a lot of people to not being able to access clean fresh water directly from their environment. This is what is called in Islam as ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. We've been looking into how government and also corporations have been systematically doing this al-fasad, this destruction. Fasad is something that is coming out of the deliberate action. It's not something that you would cause unintentionally or accidentally. So it has to be systematic, and it has to be facilitated by certain actors. So this is the meaning of fasad in linguistic term. So if we want to correct all of these mistakes, if we want to redeem from our environmental sins, first what we need to do is to reflect upon ourselves, whether we have done something right for the environment. That's why I've mentioned about the hadith on removing obstacles from the streets. Let's imagine about a family of 4, let's say. Well, in Indonesia, we often eat everything with plastics, right? We often eat cilok or somai or batagor with plastics, or even in foreign countries, people are still using styrofoam or things that derive from plastics, such as the coffee cups that you might enjoy every day. What we are looking is when these families have produced like 1 kilogram daily of plastic garbage. For example, if the children is consuming a boba tea every day, or if the father is consuming potatoes, fries, or nuggets or burgers every day, while the plastic is being thrown out without any proper recycling method, then what we will see is that when one family can produce around 500 grams to 1 kg of plastic garbage every day, what would happen if 100 families in a single neighborhood do the same thing? So please multiply 1 and 100, you got 100 kg every day. It's nonsensical, right? But it's happening every single day. So what I want to say is that when we correlate this hadith with the notion of caring for the environment, Muslims should be the ones who promote this notion of environmental consciousness, which is not to use plastic in every single of our activities. So bring out your tumbler, prepare your own lunch boxes, or if you want to buy something from the eateries and restaurant, please make sure that you are having your lunch box with you, so you are not causing anything harmful for the environment. And this is something important that we often forget in our daily basis. Another thing is that when we are living in this capitalistic society, we often to overconsume. Why? Because we are tempted. Temptation is the greatest sin of the modern man, something that we need to reflect upon. So it's not only about recycle or reusing, but it's also about reducing the waste, the amount of garbage that we are using, in order to reduce the harm to ourselves and also to fellow human beings. Imagine if our river, our land is filled with waste, with garbage. Garbage crisis already happening everywhere in not only Indonesia but throughout the world. And Indonesia we often become the victim of this garbage crisis because all of the garbage are being exported from the developed countries to the developing countries without our consent. And what happened? All of these garbages will be filling the neighborhoods, will be causing sickness to children, to future generations. Second thing is about systematic reflections. We are living in a capitalistic, exploitative economic system that has caused a lot of damage, not only to environmental well-being of the society, but also to the societal stability. Because people used to live without their own way. They used to have a good economy based on their local economy. When they want to fish, they can fish every time. When they want to cultivate and when they want to harvest, they can always harvest every time during the season. When this industrialization happened, without any proper concern with the environmental protection, what we see here is the ultimate disrespect toward human dignity. Meanwhile, in Islam, human dignity is one of the core conceptions of humanity in itself, al-karamatul insan. And what we'll do if we lost that, we are not respecting God. So we need to reflect about the system that we are currently living in, and we have to research it. So, as a final remark, I'd like to say that fixing our environmental sense requires both individual reflection and also societal corrections. And in order to do so, government has to play a huge role in ensuring that both the community and also the state can do well in fixing all of this environmental sins, and scholars should do more in propagating the practicality of ecology in everyday life. So thank you, that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.